And there's another agent we found boosts it very much. I think I mentioned it before as a low dose naltrexone because it damps down the inflammation.
Yeah.
And I've given lots of patients the two. The result of that is you can give this really tough chemotherapy at half the dose and it's still as good. Well, all the toxicity is in the top 50 to 100% of the dose.
So it becomes way more tolerable if you give the low dose naltrexone.
And I've pleaded and asked patients, say, look, listen to me, go on this and have that chemo at half the dose. And often I have other oncologists involved, and I have to tell them, that they're so programmed, you have to have the full dose. Well, you only have to have the full dose in tumours that you 100% eliminate. So that's like leukemia and testis. Every other solid tumour, it's not that it's not that linear, and basically you can control the disease with low dose chemotherapy, finding the immune response is good, and you keep it going for a long time.
So giving the low dose naltrexone, does that allow for halving of the chemotherapeutic dose in several cancers or specific ones?
Yes, it does, and we have published this.
It's pretty well across the board then.
Yeah, across the board, and with different chemos in different models. We did all these in standard mouse models, so what everybody uses, and we could show we got the same effects with the same standard chemotherapy at half the dose if we primed with low dose naltrexone. And I give that to lots of my patients, and I then say, look, I know you really didn't want the chemo, but this can control your cancer, but it will work at half the dose. You won't get the toxicity. And then I will talk to the oncologist who's been programmed. He's got to give it a high dose. I said, no, please don't. And I send the paper, the review. We did a big review on low dose naltrexone that's management cancer, showing how it works on all these different pathways. Yeah. I mean, the thing that really attracted my attention is that we were able and the first to show that it switches off IL6 production, interleukin-6. And when that was discovered...
Which is a pro-inflammatory cytokine.
Pro-inflammatory, but it was called by the people who discovered it Cancer Growth Factor. So to have an agent that switches off cancer growth factor right from the day one that you add in with your chemo and your immune therapy is fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually having something that just switches off the fuel supply.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we showed it enhances the sensitivity of cancer cells to the chemotherapy because it reverses the BCL2 Bax pathway. Now, cancer cells hyperexpress BCL2, which is like a shield to cell-killing apoptotic induction, but it basically removes the shield. So this is another agent which is it was licensed for heroin and morphine addiction.
Yeah, the naltrexone.
In high doses in 1986 it was approved. It was repurposed by Behari and things. Naltrexone again it's low dose, non-toxic, cheap. It has minimal side effects. The main side effect is usually if you're taking something with codeine or opiates in it because they clash.
Yeah.
But apart from that, so that's just another example of simple, cheap, efficient things that the establishment wants to ignore.
Yep.
Whereas I believe the NHS and the regulatory authorities, their duty should be to improve the quality of health care for the population by the cheapest, easiest means possible.